Hello, hey guys, welcome to today's session. We're going to be looking at how to build playable arpeggios on your guitar. We're going to do it together. This is a live version today, so my first live, so bear with me. Thank you for watching. We're going to jump into your fretboard. I'm going to walk you through the steps of building those arpeggios in general, and then we're going to start putting them all over your fretboard in a pretty simple way, and what I think is a very playable way, so you can actually start jamming on them and having fun. I am playing my Westone today, which is like an old guitar. This is older than I am. I think it was 1982, made in Japan in the Matsumoto factory, which is a very sought after factory, having made guitars in Japan at the time. It's not a great looker, but I really like the sound of it. Okay, cool. So jumping into arpeggios. First of all, why the hell would we need to know arpeggios? Well, I think knowing chords is really important on your guitar for when you're playing songs. I don't think there's any question or arguments about that. When it comes to improvising, knowing your arpeggios is really important because you're playing over chords, and the arpeggios are the notes of the chord just on top of them. So just one note at a time, not on top of them. You're playing it on top. You're in a melody zone often when you're playing lead guitar. So when we're building arpeggios, we're basically building chord tones. And there's a million different ways to slice up the fretboard. We're going to look at one of those ways today, and we're going to start right from the beginning. So first things first, we're going to build with a major chord now. We're going to start with G major. The first thing you need to know is when we're building a major chord, what are the notes in a major chord and how do we find them? Well, we need to know our single string scale, which I've done many times on this channel. But the single string scale uses, if we find our root note, which is the naming note of any chord, in this case, it's a G note. Then we go up and we find our 2, our 3, our 4, and our 5. We only actually need to know the first 5 notes of the scale to find our arpeggios, because we only need notes 1, 3, and 5 of that scale to be able to play them. So if I work that out on here, the notes I'm looking for are G, B, which is the root, the 3, and the 5, which is a D. Okay, so the first thing I'd say is try and play that arpeggio. I'm a big fan of those levels. If you've seen my channel before, try and play the arpeggio on a single string so you can hear what it should sound like. Before we start jumping off all over the rest of the guitar. And the more comfortable you are playing it on a single string, the more it's in your ear, that's going to be a good basis to move on. Now, what we're going to do is take the 5th and move it to another string. So once you've got yourself playing, you take the 5th and you move it to a next string. So G and B on string 6, and then put the D on string 5, and we get this shape, which is I'm playing fret 3, fret 7, and fret 5 here. So, and that works anywhere I find a G note too. So you've got another G note here on string 5 of fret 4. All right. And then if I go fret 8 of string 2, so all I'm doing there, we've spread the whole guitar is I'm finding a root note and then playing that short pattern. So let me walk you through it slowly. So I'm going G, which is fret 3, up to fret 7, which is the B note. And then I've got fret 5 of the A string, the 5th string, which is my D, my 5th. So I'm playing root 3, 5. Now that pattern's really important because I can do the same thing again anywhere I've got a root note, almost, apart from one tricky string, which is the B string. And we'll come to that in a second, what happens there. So if I go to string 4, fret 5, there's another G note. And I can do the same thing all over again. And I can do the same thing on fret 8 of string 2. If I go to fret 5, string 10, I can do the same thing. I go up 4 frets from my 3 here, and then find my D note on string 4. Now, the one that messes up the pattern is always when we've got the B string involved. Somehow, it's probably going to mess it up. So in this case, if I play fret 12 of string 3, that is my G note. And that pattern stays the same on the string, but when I move up to string 2, I need to be aware that my D note is now shifted up a fret. It's on fret 15 instead of 14 on that string. So, okay. So the way to practice this is to play a chord, then play the arpeggio. Play a chord, then play the arpeggio. All right. Now, same thing applies, same chord, same. Let me back up a second. First time on live. Get nervous too as a teacher. So what we're going to do is take that same idea, but move it to a different chord. So now imagine we're on the D chord. So we were on the G chord before. What if we play a D chord now? Can we use the same idea? Well, yeah, all we have to do is we find our root note and then play the same pattern that we did before. So just as easily. All right. Anywhere you've got a D note, you can play that pattern. Now, the important thing here is knowing where those root notes are again and again and again, which is really important. I'm going to link you to something where you can learn those root notes in the description here below. So you can check that out after the session today. But that's the first way. We're going to play G and then D and G and D, and you can move back in between those chords. And then it goes to D. Nice and easy switching between those chords. Now, what happens if we move to a minor chord? Because not all chords are major, and it's very important that we know how to deal with minor chords too. What would we do in that case? Well, there's only really one thing that changes when you have major and minor chords. It's important that you know your single string scale here. So if you know what your single string scale looks like, you've got root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I play G major, but I just focus on the bottom 5 notes, that's how the first 5 notes of the major scale sound. Let's hear how the first 5 notes of the minor scale sound. Those are almost exactly the same notes, apart from one note. The one note that changes is the third. So the note that you need to watch out for is in the chord, but it's only one note difference. So every time you've got a third, in this case, for the G chord, it was a B note, you need to bring that down just 1 fret. So your playing should now look like this. Those first two notes look like ba-da, 3, 6. We've gone 3, 6, and then the D note's in the same place. The fifth is in the same place. So check out my hands here. And then if we do this one here, and I'm on the G string again, just got to watch out for that D note. All right. So nice and easy switching between those two. You want to practice this though. So I would still go, okay, single string, what does this look like? And then crossing strings, what does this sound like? And practice it so you get used to that motion. It's a tiny box, and playing that box is really, really helpful on the guitar. Now, putting it into a chord progression. So if we take two chords like G and A minor, now we can do a G major chord followed by an A minor chord right afterwards. And that should be relatively easy to do. Oh, that was G. I played the wrong chords. So let me play you an example of what this should sound like. We go G major. Let's turn down the gain a little bit. G major, do it one more time, G major. To A minor. So now I'm going to try and outline those chords using just these shapes. Real simple. So we're on G major, A minor. All right, cool. So that's the idea, is trying to take simple, playable, very easy arpeggios to manage. And you've only got two shapes to work on there. And then to use it along with learning your fretboard. So knowing your fretboard is really important for this, knowing where those notes are, getting comfortable with finding them easily. This is a great exercise to practice. So I want you to try it, have some fun. Let me know how you got on in the comments below, and enjoy yourself. I will see you next week. I'm going to start doing these lives every Thursday at 6 p.m. And also I have every Saturday, I do my normal video as well. Have fun. See you next time.